Hey, Friday, May 12th, 2023. Just getting back from the gym. So, I wanted to share my thoughts about it's been, I'm a little late, but better late than never, about the Federal Reserve decision and their speech, and then its effect on the price of crypto or what we can expect. Like I said, this is just my opinion. If I were you, I wouldn't listen to me. Get your own advice or do your own research. But anyway, enough of that disclaimer stuff. So, and also I want to talk about intrinsic value as well, what that term means. So, when I watched the Fed speech, and I didn't watch all of it, but I watched like a good chunk of it, and then I kind of got the drift of what he was after. So was pretty clear, in my view, Bullard, that he wants 2% inflation. And he was also made a very profound statement that the U.S. labor market, by unemployment rate and job openings, is stronger than ever. Even though they're pushing rates up, employment is still very strong in America. And I'm seeing indications of that here from Ukraine. I have a resume up on Indeed, and I have a U.S. phone number through Skype. And I'm getting calls. I mean, the recruiters aren't even emailing, they're just calling. That means they really have some urgency to fill a position. Usually they write you an email or they just send you like, there's this opening, if you're interested, apply to it. But so there has been an uptick in, and it is kind of hiring season. Hiring season kicks off March, April, and now we're right into the middle of it. And it'll probably subside in November or so. So there's like a 6-month window where, there's a lot of hiring going on. So, it's, so that, what does that mean for crypto? Well, Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies are like gold. They're, in many ways, they're riding on the premise that for this to go up, the U.S. economy has to fail. That there's going to be this, their theory is like the dollar is just garbage, and, it's just going to completely collapse, and then Bitcoin is going to save the day, and everyone who's been a believer is going to become a billionaire. I mean, yeah, that was true when it first came out, but that cat's already out of the bag, and now you got to find the next big thing, right? It's already gone up like 15 million %. So can it go up another 15 million %? Yeah, it can probably. Like I said, I think the $100,000 thing, I think that could happen, when the Fed pivots, like really pivots. They said they were going to do like a pause or something on the interest rates, but his language was like he needs the 2% inflation. I think inflation is still much higher than that. I think it's still even north of 3. So it's more like there's going to be these steady hikes here and there, and if nothing breaks, they'll just keep going. That's the way I see it, and that works against the Bitcoin thesis, because that's a dollar positive thing. Higher interest rates mean that when you hold dollars and put them in the bank, like staking, your interest rate goes up. And then that means they have room to cut. So every rate hike they got, they can use that as a rate cut when a recession comes. So they're not going below zero like they've done in Europe, like in Switzerland and Sweden. They actually had to go to negative rates, which is a really, really bad thing for the currencies. So the dollar is actually a lot stronger than people think. U.S. labor market is stronger. The inflation numbers have come out. The only thing that's alarming is the rent, but all the other stuff, and I think rental cars. I saw some figures the other day, but everything else seems to be getting back in check. And wages have gone up considerably too. I've noticed that too in the U.S. Salaries now are really through the roof, even for really simple type jobs. So I don't know. I think I'd be betting on the dollar more than I'd be betting on Bitcoin. That's for damn sure. At least for the next 6 months. So I mean, they will keep, just like in 2008, they kept hiking rates until they broke the housing market. And housing in the U.S. has softened up, but it hasn't collapsed. I'm looking around. I'm always curious what's for sale. And Delaware, the place I was last living. I was living in Wilmington, actually, in Joe Biden's hometown. And to me, it's one of the best kept secrets in America. You're an hour and a half from Washington, D.C., but the prices are still, even with all the housing inflation, you can get a pretty decent home there for like $300,000, $400,000, and a corporate job there pays $100,000, $120,000. So your ratio, and if your wife and you are both working, you know, that's definitely, you know, both have a corporate job, or even, you know, your wife is, or you know, I got to be a little woke here, even have like just a regular, you know, non-corporate job, but just some standard hourly job, you know, retail or whatever, you could pull it off. You know, one professional, one person working just regular hourly, you could pull it off. You could pull off a house. And if you were in the military before with a VA loan, then you don't need down payment. You could have that dream of home ownership right in Delaware, and you could hop on a train and be in New York in less than 2 hours. I mean, there are people even who commute from Delaware to New York City. I think Joe Biden used to do it, you know, or to Washington, D.C., but people are commuting from Wilmington. But anyway, I didn't want to get off that sidetrack, but that's what's kind of fun about these videos. So, yeah, the dollar, now intrinsic value, right? So, if you're really down on the dollar and everything, I mean, I personally, I like gold, right? Because, you know, you can, this is intrinsic value, right? Gold can be money, but you can wear it. You can, it's got value other than jewelry. That's what intrinsic value is, or other than money. So, I mean, gold was a currency, but it had other uses. It could be made into jewelry. It had uses as electronics. I think it still does. The space program uses a lot of gold for the circuitry and the satellites and what have you. So it could be just used for whatever, you know, gold fillings. So that's intrinsic value, values other than its monetary value. I mean, paper money, the intrinsic value is the paper, right? Even though it's not really that much, you know, you're talking about less than a penny per note. But in theory, you can burn it, and there's some BTUs in there. It can, and that's worth money, right? That has worth. You can take a pile of worthless paper money and keep yourself warm with it. So that's like an intrinsic value. You know, although the ink and everything in there would probably kill you, but the theory is it has some intrinsic value, little to none, but more than Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is just electrons, or any cryptocurrency's electrons. So outside of its value of money, or, you know, I mean, I guess there's utility tokens or whatever to be playing the game, but it's a very little intrinsic value. So if you're really searching like for this, you know, you're really believing in this death of the dollar thing, what you should be buying is the inflation. You know, so what is inflation? Inflation is like a measure of, you know, these basket of goods, like, you know, what we were talking about before, rent, food, you know, like eggs, you know, egg prices actually drop through the floor too, you know, gas, oil. So if you really believe that the dollar is going to collapse, then people buy commodities, and gold is one of them, right? And gold doesn't get eaten by mice like grain does, or doesn't rot like eggs. So that's why gold is like the master commodity, or silver, its little brother, you know. But silver's actually, if you read the facts, it's actually quite abundant, more abundant than, you know. So I wouldn't, that's why there's a reason why silver's been down at $20 or something, $25 for, you know, since the 1970s. It had a price of $50 in 1970, which would be like crazy amount of money today, like $200 or $300 in today's money, you know. But there's a reason why silver is down. I mean, all these people selling silver will tell you it's like even more rare than gold, but that's all bullshit. You know, silver is around as, from what I read, it's pretty common, and it turns up in nickel mines and copper mines quite abundantly. But anyway, so that's what you know, land, you know, apartments, you know, that's what they do here in Ukraine. That's because they don't have a stock market here, you know, getting gold bullion here like US gold eagles, Canadian maple leafs, these things. It's pretty hard. You don't know if they're real or they're fake. I mean, Ukraine has like a direct connection to China somehow, and all half the stuff here is fake. I mean, they have like fake Jabra speakers, fake Louis Vuitton. So I think people are very skeptical of the, buying gold here. And I think you can buy some Ukrainian gold coins at the post office, but they have a really high markup. So people here tend to buy apartments, and then they'll just rent it out, and it's and there is appreciation, right? So when the currency goes up, the price of the apartment goes up. When the currency goes down, the price of the apartment goes up, because everything is dollarized. So people always have their price everything in dollars, and when the currency goes down, the price goes up in local currency, but it's relatively fixed to the US dollar. Although in dollar terms, things have been going up here too a little bit. But that's how you deal with inflation. I would say that's a better way than, cryptocurrencies and these things. They're highly speculative assets, right? It's gambling, like Warren Buffett said. And I would listen to Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. They actually give pretty good advice. Like, I think this hedge fund manager some years ago were telling people what to do if they had $100,000. I think I forgot his name. He's like really famous from Apollo Capital or something, Paul something or another, or Leon Black or someone like that. He said if you had $100,000, put 10% down on $1 million home and sell it a year later, and you'll have 200 grand. And actually, that was really good advice. You would actually even had more. The housing prices shot up and everything. So, if you listen to these people, they actually are giving you good advice. It's like, don't listen to me, listen to them. Like my view is I'm always buying stocks and companies that hire from MIT and Caltech and Stanford and Harvard. I'm always looking for companies that have a lot of those people, in their ranks, because they know what's going on. Even if you believe in conspiracy theories and you want to make money, then you should buy the conspiracy. You should buy those are the institutions. If you believe into those theories, those are the institutions training the puppet masters and graduating puppet masters. So you want to follow where the puppet masters go. So I mean, if all the puppet masters are going to NVIDIA or going to Microsoft, buy them NVIDIA and Microsoft stock, because they're sure as hell getting paid in it themselves. So, So yeah, I mean, that's just my view. Like, and why are we even in this technology, right? You hear me, I'm always pretty down on crypto or down on NFTs. I'm not really down on it. I mean, I'm really just giving a rational analysis, because I get really tired of watching all these YouTubers, like it's the next big thing. It's going to cure cancer. It's going to cure racial inequality. It's going to save Africa from starvation. This is all the kind of crap you hear that crypto is going to do and NFTs are going to do. It really doesn't do any of that. It really, the only thing it does is it marks ownership, and it's a ledger, and that we have uses for. Like I said, you want to own your game pieces, for consumer loyalty, to transfer your loyalty points, to have some fun, to provide some fun. It's a means of fundraising, for a charity. Things like this, it's useful. It's incredibly useful. But it's not going to save us from death of the dollar. I mean, if the dollar goes down, we got bigger problems. You're going to have like, if as soon as the U.S. government goes down, those cartels in Mexico are going to step in, or the Russians are going to step in, or the Chinese are going to step in, and it ain't going to matter. Your crypto and your gold ain't going to matter. It's going to be like all the gun owners in America are going to, maybe they'll form something, like Sons of Jacob in The Handmaid's Tale. It might be something like that, where you get all these Christian fundamentalists with guns. That's more viable than like we living in a utopian society where everything is handled on a DAO. Everything is handled like through some staking your tokens to make a decision. I mean, come on, I mean, you guys, come on, just what's with you people? So we're a technology company. We're selling technology. We're not selling dreams and ideas that we're going to make you rich. And I'll talk more about the anatomy of most Web3 companies and Web3 projects. What I've experienced. I've worked for two Web3 companies on a project, And I've been following a lot of YouTubes and a lot of projects, and I'll kind of share my thoughts about that. You know, it's spring and I feel like opening up and everything. So yeah, it's too bad the sun, I always get the sun in the wrong place, but I guess that's the position changed, you know, the Earth's position relative to the sun and the seasons. Anyway, yeah, pretty soon I won't even be having to wear a coat. But yeah, so yeah, what I see is like, back to, let's wrap this up. So the U.S. economy is a lot stronger than people think, and unemployment is at 3.5%. So the Fed can keep raising rates. You know, we're not considered having an unemployment problem until we're hitting 6%. You know, 5-6% is still even a pretty strong job market by any stretch of the imagination, by any measure. You know, so there's actually a lot of room, in my view, that they can raise to get they want to hit this 2% target, because if they can get inflation of 2%, then the dollar is strong. And it's going to happen. It always does. I mean, they have more times gotten their way than not have gotten their way. And, you know, so where am I putting my money? I'm putting my money in America. You know, I have faith in these people. You know, you might see all this screwed up shit on TV and everything, but I tell you, those 10% of Americans who got their shit together, they're pulling the whole weight of the world. You know, those people who study and go to college and get engineering degrees and become doctors, nurses, entrepreneurs, they have family money, startup ideas. I mean, that's just a reality. A lot of, you know, there's inheritance rolling forward. I mean, so, you know, parents like give them like a couple $1 million, and then they go, you know, hire their buddies that friends they made at Stanford and start up something. I mean, you see a lot of that in Silicon Valley. You know, they're family funded, and then they have all this time to think and imagine instead of worrying about mortgages, and really great things are born out of that. You know, yeah, it's unfair or whatever, daddy gave them the money, but sometimes daddy gave money to a really smart kid, kind of like Bill Gates, right? And then you got Microsoft. So there's still a lot of that going on in America. Or Zuckerberg, right? He had rich parents, and he went to Harvard, he dropped out, he was able to, you know, have family funding, self-funding to get his idea off the ground. So there's a lot of that in America, even much more than before, you know, much more than ever before. And that's going to bring out a lot of innovation. You know, when you don't have to worry about a mortgage and paying your bills, and you're hanging around with a bunch of, you know, people struggling, but you're hanging out with a bunch of people who, you know, they're really smart, and then they have time to think about ideas. Things are born out of this, and that's what I'm betting on. I'm betting on all that. I'm betting that 10%, you know, that top 10%, top 1% in America can pull it for the whole world. And they will, and they are. You know, I mean, you're also going to see a revival of the weapons and defense industry as well. And that's going to just create a ton of blue-collar jobs, you know, where you don't have to be like a Harvard grad or Caltech grad. You know, it's just like those normal factory jobs that used to be in the 50s, you know, where you finish high school and you get some apprentice training, and then you go and you work there, because that can't all be robotized, you know, and there'll probably be higher skill workers, but they'll all be able to be trained, you know, at the local junior college, how to run those AI machines and everything and maintain them, you know. So that era is coming too, just like the fracking era, just like the PC era, mobile telephone era, just like all these, you know, the highways in America. Well, that was an era, you know, when they built the interstate freeway system, that created an economic boom. So we get like something every decade. And self-driving cars is coming, you know, so that's what I'm betting on. I'm not betting on a cryptocurrency set up by a bunch of mentally unbalanced teenagers, you know, with a great white paper, you know. You know, come on, you know, come on, that era is over. You know, it's time to like invest in crypto because it's a technology, and invest at a right valuation based on what it can produce, what value it can produce. The speculation side of it, I think, is gone. You know, they're all running to AI. But anyway, if you need IT services, you know, you want to enhance your loyalty programs, you want to build a small mini game to keep your users occupied. You know, we also do AI. You know, we can build, actually, I even took the Python course, and I asked ChatGPT to, link me to Twitter and pull down data on and stuff. I mean, we can do this, and we can visualize it with a React JavaScript front end or whatever. So if you want to send some stuff into AI and retrieve that data and then visualize that, we can do that for you. That's no problem. I'm right here in Ukraine. I'm surrounded by a whole lot of developers. This is my apartment building here. This is like a big IT campus. Almost all these people here, they have daytime jobs in some of the leading IT companies. They're all, we're all looking for side hustles in the evening, to do a little bit of fun stuff in the evenings and earn a little extra money. But anyway, you all have a good day, and get outside. Pandemic's over. Go outside and breathe that fresh air and enjoy life.